Good evening, all my dear friends, YouTube viewers, and my good wishes. Its parents, all of you, I'm welcoming to all of you to this YouTube channel where you can boost your knowledge. My dear guys, today this lecture is completely devoted to you on the basis of Indian polity. Concerning to Indian polity, we can also get some current issues adjoining the efforts of Indian Constitution, what talks about even today. My dear guys, earlier to a week you might have heard the news from the Kerala that an elephant was killed. This was very heinous news which have been got by us from the Kerala states of India. In that scenario, several blames, allegations raised on our judiciary, several politicians, intellectuals, and several, we can say, NGOs also campaigned against these types of heinous. What happened? Finally, the pressure which had been imposed to the state governments of Kerala, people, criminals, we can say those who were involved in that activities, because that elephant was pregnant. Okay, under this schedule, what happened? It will be all got. So now I'm going to discuss, analyze some points of view concerning to Indian constitutions on the basis of the protections of wildlife. What our Indian constitution says. And after all, we all discuss some questions of UPSC, because whatever I am going to discuss you, these are the questions of a UPSC prelims and asked in several times in examination. But we will find out those questions which are update concerning to the current views, and those are under the Indian constitutions we must discuss today. So this lecture is very important for all of you. My dear guys, now first episode and first questions of my lecture is going to held on the basis of protections of wildlife. Actually, the protections of wildlife was incorporated in Indian constitutions via 42nd Amendment Act 1976 by adding the Article 48. It means to say, in 1976, whenever it was analyzed, whenever it was perceived by the people of our country, members of our constituent assemblies, and the ministerial cabinet ministers or members of our Indian constitution, when they felt about that wildlife is a life, for what? For that we must make a rule and regulation that protects our wildlife, because as per the Indian constitution, what we all got the fundamental rights, being living things, that's why animal is also living things. Those must be considered as per Indian constitution, because where we are discussing about the equality, right to equality, then whenever we are talking about the right to equality, why these types of regulations, which types of fundamental duty rights are not imposed to the wildlife and animals? This is a question, this is also interrogation to our judiciary. So under the considerations of 42nd Amendment, which were inaugurated in 1976, an article was imposed in Indian Constitution, finally shifted in Indian Constitution to protect the wildlife and environmental things under Article 48. So in which some point has been mandatory, and what is the mandatory we have to identify, we have to analyze today as per the description for our foremost examinations. Actually, my dear guys, in which mandate the state shall endeavor, triumph to make efforts to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. These provisions, these we can say allegations, were completely shifted in Indian Constitution under 42nd Amendment of Article 48 for all of the states, that all have the authority to identify and to do this type of activity while we are serving, we are protecting the animals. And the same amendment also included forests and protections of wildlife animals in the concurrent list in 7th schedule of Article 256 of the Constitutions. Whenever we are talking concurrent, where the authority are completely distributed in center and states. On the collaborations of both governments, central and states, the rules and regulations, legislation, executives, those are completely framed. So whenever we are talking about the concurrent list, in the concurrent list also Schedule 7 Article 250 talks about that we have to protect the wildlife and forests. In spite of it, several heinous activities towards the animals, we all are getting the information till even today. Why? What our judiciary doing? Those who are blamed, those who are culprits of these activities, heinous activities, why our government is not doing, and why government are not taking the discipline steps towards those people? This is a question which must be raised before our judiciary and executives. Actually, whenever we are talking about the protections of wildlife is also enshrined in Article 51A of G. Mean to say, whenever we are going through the 51A and G, we can find out the protections of wildlife enshrined of the constitutions. That shall be fundamental duty of every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including and wildlife. In spite of Indian Constitution's framework and the provisions which have been given by Indian Constitution, there is a question, there is an allegations that why this type of interpretation is not held. Who is responsible, who is accountable for this act? Our judiciary, our government, yeah, people. But here is the matter, whenever we are talking about the Indian Constitution, which is given the priority more than God, where we all are abided by. In spite of it, why this type of activities happen? There is a question to find out. Second questions, we have to discuss how many states of India were earlier union territories and now became the full-fledged states in India, and how many states, how many states of our country now became the union territories of our countries. There is two questions which is very probable, and it is going to be probable to ask in examination because it is very hot topics. The first question, how many states were union territories before and now became the states, full-fledged states of our country, and how many states of our country now became union territories till now? There is a question to find out the answers. My dear guys, there are 5 current states like Goa, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura and Mizoram. There are 5 states were union territories before but now became full-fledged states. Remember again, Goa, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura and Mizoram. Those were 5 states of India which were earlier union territories and now became full-fledged states in India. Goa became a state in 1987. Himachal Pradesh became a state in 1971. Manipur and Tripura became states in 1972. And finally Mizoram became the full-fledged state in 1987. Earlier than those were union territories of our country. Those are the part of union territories of our country. Whereas Sikkim had become a protectorate in 1974. Sikkim, if I am talking about the Sikkim, has some priority given. Then Sikkim had become a protectorate in 1974, and it was given full-fledged statehood in 1974 under 35th Amendment of Indian Constitution. 35th Amendment of Indian Constitution. But currently Jammu and Kashmir was a state of our India. Now, mean to say, in Indian history, this is the first time that Jammu Kashmir is the only state in India which has become converted to two union territories as Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Is it okay? Third question has been given before you, because there is a contradiction in Indian constitutions also, and Indian administrations, whatever it has been made as a legislation, we have to find out some contradictory what we are talking about the Indian constitution. Actually, if I am talking about the USA, if I am talking about the UK and Britain, USA, United States of America, this is known to be the supremacy of the constitution of India, whereas Britain is known to be the supremacy of the Parliament of India. There is 2 points of view we have to discuss here. One is supremacy of constitutions, America is known to be, and the supremacy of the Parliament, USA, UK and Britain is known to be. So, India's constitutions combines these two contradictory principles. In India, the constitutions have completely tried to keep a balance between a judiciary and the parliament. Since independence, whenever Indian constitution was framing, in that period these activities and trial were completely happened. And since when it has been occurring in our Indian constitution, in our we can say executive and judiciary of our Indian constitution. While judiciary, mean to say Supreme Court, we have to discuss. The Supreme Court, yani the judiciary, through its power of judicial review, can declare laws passed by the parliament. There is a question. Passed by the parliament as unconditional. Unconditional, we can't say unconstitutional. And the parliament can also amend the major portions of the constitution. Parliament can also amend major portions of the Indian constitution without affecting the basic structures of the constitution. So there is the two provisions. What we are going to discuss here, those are the interpretations of Indian constitution. We can also identify under the Indian constitution of the supremacy of the constitution and supremacy of the parliament here. And actually third question is here. Now I'm going to discuss here. What is the third question? You have to find out. Okay. And third question now I'm going to give you. Yeah, exactly. There is the third question. Find out that to uphold the protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity. Try to understand. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India is a provision made in the, and we have to find out the answer in which provisions, under which section it is completely concerned about. My dear guys, first we have to know, when we are talking about the sovereignty, integrity and unity, those are considered under fundamental duties. It means to say during this episode we have to discuss about the fundamental duties. How many fundamental duties, which amendment was concerned in Indian Constitution for fundamental duties, all about fundamental duties we have to discuss here, and now we have to find out the answer, and then finally what will be the answer of this episode. These questions as per the option alternatives which has been given to you, you can find out the answers of that particular questions here. Is it okay? So now whenever we are talking about the uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity, those are the sections, those are fundamental duties as concerned. Now on the recommendation Swarn Singh, you know Sardar Swarn Singh. On the recommendations of Sardar Swarn Singh committee, fundamental duties are included in Indian Constitutions by 42nd Amendment Act 1976, which included 10 fundamental duties. If we are talking about the 42nd Amendment of Indian Constitutions, which were given recommended by Sardar Swan Singh. In that criteria, only 10 fundamental duties were included in Indian Constitution. With the 86th Amendment of Indian Constitution, which occurred in 2002. If I'm talking about 86, right to education, means concerning to education. Okay. So we have to discuss the 86th Constitutions of Indian Amendment in 2002. One more duty was added in Indian Constitution to the list of fundamental duties. And in this scenario, we have to discuss about the duties which were dealt by Article 51A, Part 4A. Article 51A, Part 4A of the Constitution that provides for total 11 fundamental duties for every citizen of India. And whenever we are talking about to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India are also concerned about the fundamental duties which were also implemented and given to all of the people of our country. So these were 3 questions what I have discussed you, and I'm going to discuss I'm going to point out some points for you that, my dear guys, what I have discussed, actually you all are going to appear in your Mission IAS test series. You can find out these types of questions there. And every schedules of these types of questions, hard questions, I'm trying my best to make you understand on the basis of magazines which is publishing by Mission IAS. You can find out these types of questions because different essays of current issues, especially for economics, polity and national international issues, we all are discussing there, which is very beneficial for all of you. If you are preparing for the competitive examination, you can find out the answer. So this is the main point of view by which you can gain and make a boost in your preparations. What your knowledge has been derived here, now you can increase your knowledge by different lectures. So during COVID-19, whatever I made you understand, this is also international emergency, not this is a national emergency. During this period, during this emergency, I am providing you a lecture. This is a boost bone of your communication, boost bone of your preparation by which it can also integrate your knowledge. So my dear guys, all of you, I am requesting, go through the lecture, listen carefully, and boost your knowledge and use while you are going through the test examination. This will be very beneficial and fruitful for all of you. And next lecture I will derive you tomorrow. All the best. Thank you. God bless you.